Hello and welcome to the update of the Goldilocks experiment. Let's see what we're going to find here. If you recall, last week we found that the first bin that has the smallest particles, the food was gone. See the castings here. Very good job of it. The stuff is getting processed by my little workers. Everything feels nice and moist in here. And I added just a little bit of smushed banana because they were completely out of food. And they are still completely out of food. Okay, so these guys need to be fed today. I'm going to fix something up for them a little bit later on. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the middle bin. See how they did with the chopped up pieces. We can see here a lot of castings as well. They are working on the bedding. A lot of castings, really nice. You guys are busy, that's for sure. And they look really nice and healthy. And this is where we fed. Now these guys have chunks of food. And let's see if they're able to work through the banana and what was left of the watermelon from the first week's feeding. So there is still some banana skins left. But I think the bananas themselves are gone. Yeah. And skin is, we know, always the last to go. So these guys look like we'll give them a little something as well. They're doing good. Now let's take a look at the last bin, which is our whole food bin. Again, these guys, you can, I think, really see the difference when you have such large pieces going into a bin, and when it begins to look like this, that's when you can really see a stark difference. Material being broken down, really great. A lot of castings here as well. Lots of chunky worms. And let's see the food. So here was the whole banana. And you can pretty much see that there's nothing left of the banana, just the skin. And what was watermelon, same thing, just the skin is left. So these guys have a whole banana skin to work over. Not sure if I should feed them, or maybe they did so well. And it's going to take a little while for that banana skin to to decompose enough for them to be able to do something with it. So maybe I will. Okay, so let me go prepare a little something for these guys and we'll be back. Okay, so I prepared some rotten apple for these guys. I weighed everything out. I think we can start feeding in a different place. So this is 4.5 ounces of cut up apple with some pulverized eggshells. So these guys getting the smallest of the pieces. Cover that up. We'll just put this over. And I know they're going to make quick work of it, although, to tell you the truth, apples, as I have found out, tend to stay quite a long time in a bin for some reason. Even though this apple was rotten and frozen and then defrosted, still, it takes a while for the apple to break down. So we'll just put this apple here, and this one is in chunks, because this is our chunky bin. Also, 4.5 ounces, and eggshell already added. We're going to cover that up. And just put the paper over it. I'm probably going to start maybe adding some bedding as well, because they're doing quick work on this this bedding, surprisingly enough. And now we're going to give these guys a whole apple, again 4.5 ounces with the eggshells on it. And try to cover it up as best we can. Yeah, when I add the bedding, I'll also make sure to get the weight as close as possible so that they all have equal amounts of bedding. And they are fed up and done. So we'll leave them and we'll check back next week. So far, they're all doing great, but of course, the first bin that has the smallest particles is by far the best as far as the food being worked over, but we know that the smaller the particles, the greater the surface area for the bacteria, fungus to start working, and the worms go right for it. So I did have to feed this midweek. So as far as food goes, this bin has gotten a little bit more food than the other two. Let's see what happens next week. Thanks for joining me.